Hello, my name is January Shinneman, and I'm 32 years old. I grew up in southern Missouri, and I was raised in an extremist cult. I was also homeschooled so as to avoid the world's bad influence. Most people only hear about the kind of life I had on the news. For instance, when a cult leader is arrested and tried for various crimes, or when a news program like 60 Minutes does a story on women who've escaped from the cult. When I was 22, I ran away from the only life I knew to find out what this bad, forbidden life was all about. At that point, I was probably at the social and emotional level of a 12-year-old. I had to learn how to dress, how to speak, how to act, so as not to seem different. And I made some very silly and sometimes very bad decisions. One thing we weren't allowed to do in the cult was seek higher education. And one thing I've always loved is learning. There were many obstacles for me to overcome in order to get to this point, though. First, growing up in a cult gives you no real money-making skills. So keeping myself afloat financially has sometimes had to come before getting an education. Secondly, with no documentation that I ever went to high school, it's really hard to get into college. I feel that I've grown up so much in the last 10 years, but I still have some pretty serious social issues that I previously blamed on my upbringing. I sought counseling for the problems I was having and recently was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which is also known as high-functioning autism. That was a pretty big shock, as I knew very little about it. I began reading everything I could about Asperger's, and I learned that it's a neurological disorder that causes my brain to function differently. The syndrome presents itself differently in everyone that has it. The things I have trouble with are social and emotional reciprocity, eye contact, strange vocabulary and vocal prosody, and facial expressions. Some of my friends and family would describe me as odd or quirky, but they've all been very supportive and understanding as I struggle to cope with this new self-awareness. I chose to write my 3 speeches on subjects that have impacted my life in the matters that I've mentioned here. Many people with an autism spectrum disorder find that they have digestive issues. Research has shown that limiting or removing gluten from your diet can be a great benefit. So for my demonstration speech, I will show you how to eat healthy and well on a gluten-free diet. There's been a great debate about teaching children abstinence versus teaching them comprehensive sex education in school. This is an important issue for me because I was only given one option: no sex before marriage. I believe this is a very naive and ineffective way to address the potential for teenagers to have premarital sex. I will expand on my thoughts about this in my persuasive speech. And I will use my informative speech to explain Asperger's syndrome more clearly because I think that with knowledge about this disorder, there can be more acceptance and understanding.